Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
You're not doing the movement any good.
We're journalists, though.
Are you?
So if the NDP locks up people, or used to be, we don't give one party a pass.
I mean, I came close to donating money a bunch of times to Rebel, and
you know,
not after this
people
nonsense.
don't get a free pass just because of their political affiliation. What's your position on vaccine passports for those individuals unwilling to be vaccinated?
Opposed, and we've been very clear from the beginning that we will not facilitate or accept vaccine passports.
I've not directed enforcement against people. No, that is not up to government to do that. That is why we keep enforcement arm's length and allow that to be done by enforcement agencies, whether it's AHS or our police services. And then once there is, if there is a ticket or there is a charge, it's up to the prosecutors at that point.
And do you agree just personally with jail terms of 2 years, 4 years, 21 days for first-time offenders? Do you think that's proportionate?
I'm not going to speak to anything that's in front of the courts right now.
Adam Soos here for Rebel News, and with COVID restrictions behind us, politicians would love nothing more than to just get on with their lives. Countless politicians are attending Stampede breakfasts, hoping that handing out those hotcakes will make everyone forget what they did throughout these restrictions. They devastated businesses. They frankly cost lives. We saw the opioid crisis skyrocket. And when they're moving on with their lives, serving pancakes and getting back to political campaigning, pastors are facing jail time, including Pastor Artur Pawlowski, his brother David Pawlowski, and Tim Stevens. So we are out once again with our Shame on Shandro truck, reminding people of what these politicians have done. If you want to help this initiative, go to shameonshandro.com and we can get these trucks out more often, holding politicians accountable.
I don't know, we're trying to figure out.
After I get that How you doing, sir? How are things? So, just so you know, this is private property right now, and we have a document being printed off right now that'll show proof that we do not want you or this vehicle in this parking lot. If you want to be across the street, people can see it, that's fine, off the property, but you can't be on the property. And we're getting a document that speaks to that. I'll give you a copy of that when it's printed.
So you're just requesting that we leave the property?
Well, yeah, just go across the street. You want to still be seen and be heard, but they don't want you on the property. The owner of the building here who owns the parking lot is very clear about this. We're getting documented proof of that to serve everybody so they're on the same page.
Sure.
And it's a trespass.
Can I just see your ID as a security guard if you don't mind? It's just something that we do if you don't mind.
I have no problem with that, sir.
Great, thanks.
That's me. Okay.
Wonderful, thank you very much.
No
Really
worries, thank you,
appreciate that.
guys.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
We were pretty quickly ejected from the Calgary Stampede breakfast this morning. Tyler, Shandro, and a number of others were in attendance. But one of the great things about Stampede is there's no lack of Stampede breakfasts with politicians in attendance. We're going to continue bringing attention to the important story of these pastors and these businesses and these citizens of this great province who are facing jail time and facing threat because of their stance against the COVID restrictions. again for Rebel News, and it is day 2 of our Stampede Edition Shame on Shandro truck. You guys, these trucks aren't cheap, but it's important that we continue to hold politicians accountable even when they're getting their fill of pancakes. If you want to help, go to shameonshandro.com. We are expecting Jason Kenney here today. We were at Tyler Shandro's Stampede Breakfast yesterday, and who knows which Stampede breakfasts we'll be showing up at during the rest of the week.
You guys are Rebel News?
Yes.
Thank you very much for the broadcasting. I appreciate that. Watch you guys all the time. Thank you. Nice to see you. Thank you. Appreciate the news.
Appreciate that. Enjoy the pancakes.
I said, you want to come chat for a minute? I'm all for conservatives, but you guys give us a bad name. Very bad.
Arresting pastors is a good name.
Breaking laws, spreading death. Yes.
Spreading death. Zero.
Yes. No, I work at the hospital. I know. You don't
Zero
understand
cases.
anything.
Zero cases at Fairview. Zero. The jail they put Pastor Tim Stevens in,
Oh,
500.
So we can let people mingle until there's cases and then explosion.
They let
This has gone
people
worldwide,
mingle at
buddy.
every
Worldwide.
other denomination.
No, there's no arguing with you.
They
You
let
guys are
people
wrong as fuck away from me, you anti-vaxxer.
You're swearing.
Stay the away, you anti-vaxxer.
What are you talking about?
That's what you are. I know you are. You're a sucker.
That's a very bigoted.
We're supposed to be united. We got the communists we're fighting. Right? The NDP.
Like the people who love.
No,
Yeah.
you guys are breaking up the conservative movement here. We should be united, not this shit. I mean, I came close to donating money a bunch of times to Rebel, and
You know,
not after this
people don't
nonsense.
get a free pass just because of their political affiliation. We're going to call it questionable conduct.
No.
We're fair. We're not blinded by political allegiance.
This is fair.
Criticizing someone.
Absolutely criticizing the right.
So do you
in
suggest,
favor of
hold on.
Rachel. You're doing
do you
a good
suggest
job.
that we become the CBC
Yeah,
and tell
you
one
are the
party?
CBC, obviously.
No. The CBC only criticizes conservatives, doesn't criticize
Amen.
liberals. If we flipped the script and only did it one way, we'd be the same as them. We've had a number of people come up and say that we're helping the NDP. That's nonsense. We will not become like the CBC. We don't want some state-funded opposition that's echo-chambering conservative talking points. We want real journalists doing real journalism, plain and simple, no matter who that means they're criticizing. Casey, can we ask you a few questions?
I can't really now because I have to run. But good to see everyone. I hope you guys are keeping well.
Yeah, will you meet with me and do an interview at some point?
At some point, yes.
You will. Wonderful. Thank you. I'll take it.
All the best.
Thanks. Saw Justin Trudeau the other day do this big stunt where he blocked off a road, had all these cops present, and then he snuck out a back door. That's pretty low, even for a politician. Well, Casey Madu drove right through. He even talked to me. He just even committed to giving me an interview at some point. Jason Kenney, on the other hand, his whole security team is here. They're present, but he's taking back exits and entrances to get in here. He can't even face. We're the only people here. There's no protests. It's me with one microphone, and Jason Kenney can't even drive by and answer a single question. Unbelievable.
Welcome everybody to the 2021 Premier Stampede Breakfast. I want to thank everybody for coming out here today.
On the note of enforcement, we're seeing COVID restrictions drop and we're starting to move beyond it, but there are certain people still facing the risk of jail time. Has there been targeted enforcement? Do you care to comment on that at all? Adam Soos here for Rebel News, and we are out for the third day in a row with our Shame on Shandro truck. We are now at Jason Kenney's Premier Breakfast. This is a Stampede breakfast. It's drawn a large crowd in downtown Calgary. It is additionally right in front of the court buildings, and that is an important location because we have seen questionable rulings from judges on many of these cases, the Pawlowskis, Chris Scott, and we are expecting a ruling soon on the court proceedings for Pastor Tim Stevens. So this is a pertinent location for our Shame on Shandro truck today.
Welcome everybody to the 2021 Premier Stampede Breakfast. I want to thank everybody for coming out here today.
So I'd like to now invite to the podium the man who has steadfastly led our province through the last 16 months to where we are today, the first province in all of Canada to be fully
you having a good stampede? Are you glad that Alberta is open for summer? And that Alberta will be open for good?
In a significant departure from previous events, we're actually seeing Jason Kenney, despite having a large security contingency, engaging with people walking around. It's a far cry from the backdoor exits and sneaky tactics he's used to access some of the other pancake breakfasts and events in the city. So Jason Kenney is presently behind me flipping pancakes. As you can likely see, there is a very large crowd here, and they are all seeing our Shame on Shandro truck, which is parked right out on the street. If you want to help this initiative and hold politicians accountable, go to shameonshandro.com. If you're able to make a contribution, we can get these trucks out more often.
Bring your Kenney's license. Check. Can you hear me? Check. Is anyone even listening to you?
Sorry, we're listening. Just help people with
All right, guys. We think that the people who are most likely to get vaccinated but who have not yet done so tend to be younger working adults between about 20 and 40, and they're just busy. They're healthy. They probably don't have a family doctor, and they don't have much of a connection to the healthcare system. We're going to reach out to them in a very concentrated way.
What's your position on vaccine passports for those individuals unwilling to be vaccinated?
Opposed, and we've been very clear from the beginning that we will not facilitate or accept vaccine passports, and that in fact we regard, I believe that they would in principle contravene the Health Information Act and also possibly the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. We also amended the Public Health Act to remove the 110-year-old power allowing Alberta to force people to be inoculated. So these folks who are concerned about mandatory vaccines have nothing to be concerned about, and there will be no vaccine passports in Alberta.
And will the provincial government act on behalf of Alberta citizens if the federal government seeks to impose such restrictions?
Yes.
Little facilities where we do have those increased pressures as well as the major urban. So, but again, we told AHS when it comes to recruiting or retention, especially throughout the summer months, this is the same as COVID. Resources are an issue. Thanks.
On the note of enforcement, we're seeing COVID restrictions drop and we're starting to move beyond it, but there are certain people still facing the risk of jail time. Has there been targeted enforcement? Do you care to comment on that at all?
Well, look, enforcement is up to the enforcement agencies, and for somebody who's received a ticket or whatever else has happened throughout COVID, that's really up to the prosecutors at this time to make those decisions on whether something is dropped or whether it continues to be proceeded. Government does not interfere, despite the misinformation that people have heard throughout the pandemic. Government does not make directions about enforcement. That's left to enforcement agencies. So
reports that you indicated certain individuals as high target offenders to be targeted, you're denying those?
Yes, I have not done that. No, that's misinformation.
Okay, so you're saying that's categorically not true?
I have not directed enforcement against people. No, that is not up to government to do that. That is why we keep enforcement arm's length and allow that to be done by enforcement agencies, whether it's AHS or our police services. And then once there is, if there is a ticket or there is a charge, it's up to the prosecutors at that point.
And do you agree just personally with jail terms of 2 years, 4 years, 21 days for first-time offenders? Do you think that's proportionate?
I'm not going to speak to anything that's in front of the courts right now.
So we have been out for 3 days with our Shame on Shandro truck. I actually had a chance to speak with Tyler Shandro and address some of the allegations against him. Jason Kenney answered our questions as well. It's been a refreshing shift from the backdoor exits that we've seen from politicians. But rest assured that Rebel News is not stopping. We're not going to forget what happened. We're going to continue to tell the stories. We're going to continue to follow this important news. And to those people who are critical of us covering and criticizing the UCP, I want to make perfectly clear that we're not conservative CBC. We're authentic journalists who are out here covering scandals and fighting for freedom, and we will always tell the other side of the story. For Rebel News, I'm Adam Soos. Literally hundreds of people have come up to me saying they love the Shame on Shandro truck over these past few weeks. But I gotta tell you guys, these trucks don't come cheap. If you want to help it so we can get more trucks out there holding politicians accountable, go to shameonshandro.com now.